game shouldn't need any introduction. This is Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. This is the game that we all immediately think of when someone brings up Super Mario World. However, would you believe if I said that there existed a Super Mario World on the Sega Genesis? You probably wouldn't. When someone mentions Mario, it only involves Nintendo. The only other Mario game that I can think of that ever appeared on any other console besides a Nintendo console is Hotel Mario for the CDI, and that's really about it. But I'm telling the truth, there exists a Mario game on the Sega Genesis. And here it is. Yes, this is a real Mario game on a Sega Genesis cartridge. From what it cost, it better damn well be real. However, I will admit, I'm a little confused. When I bought the game, it said Super Mario World. The title on top of the case says Super Mario World, but the title on the bottom of the case says Super Mario Brothers, and the sticker on the cartridge itself says Super Mario Brothers. So what exactly is this game? My initial thoughts when buying it was that it was just a port of Super Mario World for the Genesis, or maybe a 16-bit version of Super Mario Brothers, similar to Super Mario All-Stars for the SNES. However, to my surprise, it's a totally different game. It's the Mario character, and the title screen says Super Mario World, but the game plays nothing like any Mario game that I've played before. For one, you can't stomp on any of the Goombas or Koopa Troopas. There's also no power-ups, and you can't break any blocks in this game. How do you like that? The basic rules of all the Mario games have been thrown out the window for this game. Also, instead of collecting coins, you're collecting jewels. There's no way of telling how many jewels you've collected either because there's no meter on the screen, and the time limit also doesn't appear on screen either. The way you find out how many you've collected is when you get an extra life, meaning that you've collected 100. Since you can't stomp on any of the enemies, there are boxes that you can pick up by tapping B on the controller, and you tap B again to throw them. However, there are boxing gloves that you can collect throughout the levels, and there is a meter for that one to tell you how many you have. The boxing glove is actually what appears to be a gigantic fireball that you throw at your enemies. You also hit B to use this weapon. The difference between the box and the fireball is that the fireball knocks out multiple enemies, while the box only hits one enemy at a time. Also, there are various perks that might be under the boxes, for instance, clocks that extend the time, health, boxing gloves, and one perk that actually makes your character invincible for a brief amount of time. However, unlike items that you can pick up in Super Mario Bros. 2 or other Mario games, you can't pick up the boxes when standing on top of them. You have to be on the side of them to pick them up. Also, since the game has no power-ups, it has a health meter that consists of hearts, similar to Super Mario Bros. 2. Each world consists of 3 levels, with the last level being the castle and the fight against King Koopa. Okay, now that we know what the gameplay consists of, does it play well? And the simple answer to that is no. First of all, Mario jumps like crap. The jumping is not nearly as fluent as any of the NES games, and it's insanely difficult judging long jumps. Also, a lot of the enemies are insanely hard to hit with the boxes or fireballs, and most of the time, they hit you before you hit them. And the paratroopers can sometimes be impossible to avoid if you have no weapon, because some of them go in a pattern that will get you hit regardless if you jump or not. The game is glitch hell. There's no clear pattern on the platforms that you can stand on or jump through. I've literally stood in the middle of walls in this game, and there are things that don't look like they can be stood on, but they actually can be. Also, I jumped through ceilings in this game. In the castle levels, I immediately thought I couldn't jump in the little walkways that you have to walk through, but you can actually jump through the ceiling. It's actually rather convenient because this is one of the levels where the paratroopers are hard to avoid. The King Koopa battles are beyond ridiculous. In this fight, you have to throw either a box or hit him with the fireballs. It takes 5 hits to beat him, but Koopa's pattern is odd. To avoid him, you have to jump from one level to the other, but Koopa keeps glitching out and constantly changes from one level to the other without warning. So, this is a fight that requires a lot of patience and a little bit of luck. I'm not gonna lie, I only managed to make it up to the 2nd level in the 3rd world with this game. This is the world where this game loses all resemblance to any Mario game that I've ever played. Look at this world! It looks more like something seen on Sonic the Hedgehog 2 rather than a Mario game. The enemies are also different. There are monkeys, snakes, bats, and decoy boxes that walk. This world is incredibly bad to look at. I couldn't tell what was safe to stand on and what wasn't. There are logs floating in water in the middle of the level, and at first, they don't look safe to jump on, but they are. By the way, Mario can't swim in this game. Another Mario characteristic gone in this game. As long as you're on the logs, you're fine, but if you touch the water at any other time, you're dead. The second time I had to go through the logs, there were fish that came out from the water when I jumped from log to log. They are impossible to avoid, and when I say impossible, I mean impossible. I've tried jumping over them with no success. I've tried walking very slowly to the edge of the log and tried to get the bastard with the fireball with no luck. I'm convinced that they are not meant to avoid, and I could never get to them with a full health bar, so I never made it past them, and after several tries, I just gave up. What does the rest of the game look like? I have no clue, and I really don't care. The really sad part is, the game doesn't look bad. Graphically, the game looks okay, and the controls are not necessarily poorly set up and respond well. It's just Mario's physics and the insane setup of the game that really gets in the way. There are only two redeeming qualities about this game. One is the music. It has a nice rendition of the Mario theme, and the rest of the music is fairly catchy as well. The last redeeming quality is that when you run out of lives, it doesn't start you back at the beginning of the game. You start back at the beginning of the world that you were on. That's actually something I wish other Mario games did at the time. So overall, I only recommend this game if you're a collector, because the game is complete garbage. If they had just managed to make it run anything like the other Mario games, it might have stood a chance, but no, they tried to do something different with it, and that turned it into a complete mess. It's unfortunate too, because it looked promising, but it's just another non-Nintendo Mario game that bites the dust. Well everyone, that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.